kind of get hypnotized when that's playing. And I forget that, I got a job to do here. So here we are at the Crystal Clear Point Studios. We're talking again, watch out, sponsored by Miles of Smiles Entertainment and Events. And I hate to say this. We were going to do something fun today. We were all going to kind of show off our little talents and what we do for entertainment because it's Halloween and we've had a really long month and we've had a good month, and um, but so we would just kind of show that off and have some fun and get in the Halloween spirit. And then you people pissed me off.
You people.
You people. That's kind of a family joke that we have. We were on a family vacation with siblings and cousins and grandparents, and my son was not handling all the noise and stuff well. And he came out of his room at the cabin that we were in. He goes, "You people are making me sick." So anytime someone says "you people," we know we've had it. So I've worked my butt off this month, and everybody else too, and everyone's done a great job. Let me congratulate my team. Done a
Thank
great
you.
job. Got nothing but rave reviews from all of our clients for our entertainment capacities and being able to reach people and touch them and, make a difference. And but twice now in the past week, less than 5 days, five. I've had people verbally attack me personally because they say I dabble in the occult. And if anyone knows me, they know it's not true. And I'm kind of hacked off. And I think this is on the cusp of all of the frustration I'm feeling over the election and all the hate mongering and the arguing and the name calling just in general in society. And then I cracked yesterday. I just cracked. I'm driving down the street and there's this beautiful little woman, looks like she's in her late 20s, and she's got on a little Indian crop top, like wear under their saris. Okay. And she's 150 months pregnant. I mean, she is just huge pregnant. And she's on the street corner asking for money. And I'm stopped, and anybody emails me or texts me and tell me I did the wrong thing, I will slap all four of your cheeks individually. I don't want to hear this shit. I'm just going to tell you. I gave her every dime I had in my purse. And she looked at that and she looked at me and she goes, I don't know what to say. And she reached in the cup and grabbed the money I had put in there and she put it in her bra. She goes, I have to put this safer because I've already been robbed twice this week
Hmm.
by people driving by. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, This woman is the poster child." And that's not really a strong enough description, but she's the poster child of everything that's wrong in this country in regards to women's rights. Everything, everything. And I want to punch somebody in the face, but who? Who can I punch in the face? Who? That it would change anything and make a difference. So I'm going to shut up for a minute because I've already covered 10 subjects in 2 minutes. I think that's a record even for me, honestly. So, um, what do you guys have to say about any of this?
Well, first of all, and I guess you have to understand where I come from, is that um, in kind of my expertise and my learning and my education, occult isn't a bad thing. Like learning about the occult isn't a bad thing. And from all of my understanding, occult just means hidden, or those things that we don't necessarily bring out to the public, or those things that are private to us, you know. So when we say occult practices, it is kind of like thought about as like, oh, those are the things you do behind closed doors, they must be evil. But a cult isn't afraid of the light because it's like you need to be educated about it. And so when people say, oh, you do occult things, they really don't know what you're doing. They have
No,
no
in
idea.
uh, Wikipedia says that the occult is a category of esoteric or supernatural beliefs and practices, which generally fall outside the scope of organized religion and science, encompassing phenomena that are hidden or secret, like magic and mysticism. It can also refer to paranormal ideas such as extrasensory perception and parapsychology.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Before you
it's
say
a
another
very,
word, get closer to your mic. Get closer to
oh,
it.
sorry. It's a very wide range, a very wide range. And I think that probably occultism that they're thinking about is people who worship Satan or use him in their practices, or because there's a wide range of things that are occult or hidden.
Yeah.
And they're
Okay.
not evil.
So the question that pops in my mind immediately is that, the Christian world, I'll just call it that, is so split on so many things. So, like in the New Testament, it talks about being filled with the Holy Spirit and all the gifts that you get with the Holy Spirit, the group, the speaking in tongues, interpreting tongues, being able to heal, being able to do prophetic messages, all these things. Based on what I've been hearing, doesn't that fall under occult? It's just
Yes.
Christian occult?
Yes. And I'm going to be point blank. Christianity has some of the most occult practices that you can possibly imagine. I mean, take one thing, the Ark of the Covenant, okay? Complete and total occult, because it wasn't well known what the Ark was used for, how it was supposed to be accessed. It had very specific rules and regulations as far as how the tent should be composed and who could see it, who could not see it, what you had to do in order to keep it happy, blah, 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 blah. That's a cult.
Well, this
The thing,
this article says that the categories are such esoteric traditions as Kabbalah,
Yeah.
spiritualism, Theosophy, and Anthroposophy, Wicca, Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, New
Mhm.
Age, and the left path and the right path. Who knows what that is?
Well, that's
I
a
don't
tradition. There's a lot of Indian traditions as well, as far
Yeah.
as even Native
Okay.
American.
So here's something. I find this ironic that we're talking about this right now from my personal thing, because I deal with a lot of different belief systems in my social group, okay, and in my family as well. And so a lot of people say that, I just can't get behind Christianity because I want something more supernatural. And I'm like, what is more supernatural than being risen from the dead? Okay. So, to me, Christianity has always had a supernatural component because we're supposed to have a direct connection with God, which was the whole point of putting himself into a human body, which was called Jesus Christ. Okay. And then Jesus Christ showed us what we were capable in this earthly realm to do if we were living supernaturally in a relationship with God. So I'm not offended that someone would accuse me of being an occultist, because I think by technical terms, yeah, I guess I am. What I'm upset about is the fact that that implies something totally different to the general population. And I don't want them to think that I am not a person who loves God. I do not want them to think that I'm not someone who believes in the Holy Trinity. I am upset to being judged because I think that's counterproductive and also against the basics of Christianity. And I feel like this person is spewing hate, which is again against the teachings of Christianity. Those are the things that upset me. They can think whatever they want to about me. My whole thing is what I'm doing bringing more people closer to a relationship with God than they might do normally, or am I actually pushing people away? That's the question that is always foremost in my mind about what I do and how I do it. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
It makes sense to me.
Yes, I think because uh, again, this article says the term occult sciences was used in the 16th century and it referred to astrology, alchemy, and natural magic. So, I mean, it's the myriad of different angles to occultism does not mean you're evil.
Right.
No, and it doesn't mean that you have a close relationship with a spiritual deity either, unless you identify
No,
to a certain religious or spiritual belief system. And what really annoys me, and here's my self-righteous indignation coming into effect, is that this person has made a judgment call based upon the fact that we have an entertainment company and we go and entertain people to make them feel good and to make them laugh and to feel seen and heard and to see themselves in a better light and have decided to judge that without ever experiencing that. That's what annoys me. Is that fair? Is
no.
that fair? I know I sound like a 2-year-old. That's not fair, damn it. I guess 2 years old
Well,
say damn it, but
I had a friend that I made in college, and she found out I read cards, and she said, "You're going to hell. You need to go to church with me." I said, "No, but you don't understand how I read cards." And she goes, "I know the tarot is evil." I said, "Well, if you will let me do a reading for you, I will go to church with you." And she goes, "No, you will manifest evil in my life." And I went, "Okay."
if you can manifest evil in her life, then what does that say about her relationship with God?
I don't know.
Okay, so here was what was interesting for me because my go-to place, right, wrong, or indifferent, this is how I live my life, is that when I get something that happens in a repetition, especially when a short amount of space, I sit down and go, okay, am I getting a message from God that I need to look at something? Or am I doing the right thing? And do I have a dark spirit that's trying to distract me from doing the right thing? And I sit down and I pray about it and I think about it and I analyze it and I listen and all this stuff. So the other night when that person was talking against me at the event, and it got ugly. It did. And everybody, did not disperse. They stood their ground and the people that wanted to see me stayed. And some of them waited as long as 45 minutes. Okay. And I had over 6 people come in and say, gosh, he's really mad and he's really upset, because he thinks this is against his Christian values. But you know what? I'm a Christian too. These people are saying this to me, not knowing who I am. I said, well, I'm really glad to hear that because guess what? I'm a Christian too. So I'm glad that we're able to come together and we can share this time together. And then I explained to them what I do and how I do it. And so to have that repetition of message that, hey, I'm comfortable with you and I'm a Christian was encouraging to me, and I was able to go on and do what I did the rest of the night. And I felt like we had a very successful night because of that. And I know this doesn't matter to people if they're not a Christian, but it matters to me and it's my damn pod show. So we're
Well,
Well,
talking
do you
about
think
it.
it actually goes beyond just like spiritual beliefs? Because I mean, I get what happened to you, and I get how you handle it and so on and so forth with you. But the fact of the matter that I'm sitting here with you two and we can have discussions about spiritual things, like to me that's like you are your own person. You have your own beliefs. You have your own system of what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And Deborah, I'm not disagreeing with you like how you handle the situation or whatever else like that, but I don't think it has anything to do with you. I think that you are a person that holds up a mirror to people and says, look at your ugliness.
Oh, wow. That's harsh.
Well, no, it's the truth though, because it wasn't you standing on top of the table making a scene. You were just showing up to do what you do. That's it. Okay. It wasn't an attack against you and your personal spiritual beliefs. It was that person in himself going through turmoil of some sort. Okay.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. You know what was really sad as I looked at, because I had a glass wall in the room where I was, so I could see a lot of the stuff going on. And of course, when I saw all the ruckus going on, my PI side kicked in, and I wanted to go out there and handle the situation because I do that. I'm trained to do that. But I was looking at him, and I was like, he's so sad. I just wanted to go talk to him, and I found out later on that he'd actually been in line to see me. And he got frustrated after about 20, 30 minutes of waiting. And that's when he lost his shit. And I thought, man, if I could have just had 5 minutes with him, just 5 minutes, I know it would have been a different. It would have made a difference.
It's possible, but I mean, if he was in line to see you and he got frustrated, maybe it was all about him. Why are you making me wait? Why are you, what makes you so important that you're able to do this? And the only way that he could reconcile it in his mind is that you had some favor with Satan going on.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think if I could have spoken to him, I think God would have put the right words in front of me so I would know what to say to him. And
I
I think
have
I could have
absolutely
helped
no
him,
doubt whatsoever that that would have happened.
you
No doubt
know?
whatsoever.
So it was sad. I wasn't angry with him. I was a little concerned for people's safety when he got on the table, but the facility handled it beautifully, and it was, and it didn't chase anybody away. I mean, I had to turn people away. We always do. You guys, I'm so thankful. We have such a great team, and my son and my husband are both part of the team as well, and everyone just does such a great job in handling. Let's think about it. We really deal with a lot of stress in what we do. We have to stay on top of how we're relating to different types of people with different types of beliefs under certain circumstances that are less than comfortable because the music's too loud or the chair is hard or whatever. Or we don't get to take a break when we need to. And we're all older, and I know our bladders are weak. So don't say they're not. I know they are.
Stop talking about me that way.
It amazes me. I did 5 hours straight the other night and only had to go to the restroom once. I was amazed. Because I slam water or tea or something all night long because I have to keep my throat lubricated, you know. So on one hand, I just want to sit down and explain to people what we do. On the other hand, my rebellion kicks in and I'm like, damn it, they don't deserve an explanation, and I shouldn't have to explain myself, and they need to get out of my business, and you know, and all that other stuff. So it does create conflict for me personally that I have to negotiate. Okay, I'm done. I'm good. Bye. No.
Well, we say, what we do is for entertainment. We just bring our gifts with us to, what did I say a while ago? Uh,
I'm gonna kill
we
her.
apply our gifts to enhance our goal, which is to entertain you.
Yeah. It's not that we're
I
not
think that I'm a
creative, but
little
we're
different
entertainers.
than you two because I don't necessarily show up to entertain. It's just that there's a factor of entertainment that happens when I use my gifts.
Well, I will say this, Matthew, and is that I get that's how you think, but the bottom line is if you don't entertain people, they're not going to want you back if that's what they're hiring.
That's
Okay.
okay. I mean, and I mean, I understand that from a business standpoint. I mean, I don't argue that one bit, you know. But when I show up, it's not in my head that I need to entertain. I need to make these people happy. Okay. All my messages come across with a positive,
Oh, absolutely. Your
100%.
messages are spot on, and they're wonderful, and they always speak to people's spirits or their hearts or both. You wouldn't work with me if you didn't do that. I'll
Yeah.
just be honest.
Well, can I
And
share a story that happened this last weekend?
you know what? I'm in such an ornery mood. My first remark I want to say was no. And let me tell you why. I'm going to let you tell your story. But this lady the other night, I was doing lipstick readings, and she goes, "Can I pick my lipstick?" And I went, "No."
No,
Yeah.
here, you're going to use
And she
this?
looked at me and I said, no. I said, I want my lipsticks to be as germ-free as possible. And if you look through there, that means your germs are on all of them. And it's about a safety issue.
Yeah.
But when I said no at first, you could have, she looked at me like I'd slapped her. So go ahead and tell your story now.
Okay, well, it's not the same one, the same one that I shared with you before. It was about someone that actually came that they didn't want anything to do with me. Nothing.
Isn't that funny though, how they show up and they don't want to?
Well, I mean, the person was in this kind of arena of like his wife wanted to do it, okay, but he really wasn't into it and really didn't like think it was the right thing to do. And so his wife actually said, well, just try it. You know, it's like if he's wrong, he's wrong. If he's right, he's right.
Right,
You
exactly.
know?
That's what I tell people.
And so I was like, yeah, I mean, it's like you can believe me. I said, I hope that you won't believe me. I hope that you know that you'll be skeptical about everything that I say. I was like, because if it hits, it hits. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm human, I can miss it. I was like, I just take and put out there what my intuition puts out there. Well, after throwing like three cards down, okay, the guy was sitting there with eyes just like,
I love those. I
okay,
love those more than any of
Yeah.
them.
this was a man that was like, he was high up in a company, okay, like high up in a company. And I said, there's stuff coming down the pipe that you have no control over, and it's going to affect all the people that work for you. And I was like, and so you're going to have a choice. I was like, and this choice is to stay or to go. And I was like, and I can tell you right now, I can tell you right now, if you choose to leave, I was like, you're going to have something within 3 days because people are going to say, oh, you're a free person now. You can do this,
Right, right.
you know? And that's what I said. It wasn't a negative. You know, I wasn't saying you're going to quit your job and you're going to lose your job or anything else like that. I'm just saying, you're a talented person. You're going to know that, you know? And he sat back and he goes, I didn't want to get a reading from you. He goes, but now I'm really glad I did. He goes, because everything you just said was exactly right. He goes, I've had three offers to come work for another company because they know my possibilities, but they also know the atmosphere of the company I'm in right now.
Mhm.
Well, how many times do we hear that? Luann hears it
A
all the
lot.
time
Yeah.
because I get the emails. You hear it, I hear it, Scott
Yes.
hears it. And the thing about it is that I don't go to an event to say, "Oh, look at me, I'm a Christian." I don't do that. But if people ask me questions about what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, I'm going to answer their questions. And Luann and I had this conversation. Well, we've had it several times, but we just had it recently. And like, well, people say, "Well, where does your information come from?" I say God. Luann, I think you say God too, right?
I say it comes from my higher power. And depending on what I have learned from the client, I say God.
I always say God, and I even when I tell people things, I'm like because with the cards that I use to focus on, the way I read them, there's a physical reading and then there's a spiritual reading, and then I'll tell them, I said, we're going into the spiritual realm. Do you want to talk about that? You know, and so when I'm giving the message, I said, now if I was interpreting this for me, the word I would use is God. What word do you use?
Yeah, I mean, and
You know?
I don't use the word God. I mean, that's my personal belief. Okay, if someone asked me, well, where does your messages come from, and I was like, you know what, I believe that everybody is intuitive. I just happen to have a little bit more training, you know, and I have like honed that skill, just like
Oh,
you
I
can
say
hone.
that too. I say that too. We're all intuitive. We're all intended to have spiritual gifts. It tells us that in the Bible. Okay. See, here's the whole thing. And here's what I have finally concluded through all of my angst and self-discovery and figuring this all out, because I was very quiet about my spiritual gifts most of my life. I didn't want to talk about it. People think you're crazy, blah, 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 blah. And it opens you up for criticism like I'm getting now, which I didn't want to deal with, but all that crap. But the bottom line is that I think we all believe the same systematic circumstances. It's just who do we give credit for it? And who I give credit for it is very important to me. So I don't go in there using God, Jesus, blah, blah, blah when I'm doing readings. I do a universal language.
Mhm.
But if they open the door and they ask me, I'll go there. I'll walk through it with them. I'm like, for me, it's God. Do you want to talk about God? If they say yes, then we do. If they say no, then we don't. It's just that simple. And for me, I think that's part of why I was drawn into this arena because I came in kicking and screaming, honestly. I did this as a favor for someone, wasn't real thrilled with it, didn't want to do it much more seriously. And, I mean, it was a journey. It was a hard journey for me to get to where I am now. And so it's just now I feel like it's part of what I'm supposed to do, and that these doors open up for me to say things to these people because they don't go to church, they don't do this, they don't do that, or that they're so disappointed in church that they blame God for it, not the people. And I get to talk to people about their heartache and their spiritual neediness. That's the key, spiritual neediness,
Mhm.
and how they might open up some doors and how they might move forward, even if it's just a baby step, you know? And I don't think that would ever happen if I wasn't in these entertainment roles. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I don't seek them. They get presented to me. I don't go in there with it, because I had one reader years ago say, "Well, I never have anyone ask me about where I get my." I'm like, "Well, that's not your journey."
It's not your energy. When you show up for something, I
Mm-mm.
mean, people ask me all the time, it's like, well, I go to these events and I just have no one show up for me. I'm like, so yeah, I mean, those people aren't supposed to see you, or I mean, that you don't have the information that they need. And I was like, I don't do anything to advertise myself necessarily. I don't try to be haughty and I don't try to be arrogant about my abilities. But when people show up for me, I can tell you every single time they get something out of it.
Well, yeah, and like I said earlier, that's true of all of you guys. We all have a path that I feel like we're on, and I'll be honest. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish they wouldn't do that, or I wish they'd said that differently. But that's just me. And as long as you're getting the positive results and it's moving the people that you're dealing with forward in a happy, copacetic, calming, nurturing way, who am I to judge that? You know? And who do I, how can
Empowered,
I?
enlightened,
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not
or
going to pay you, damn it.
encouraged.
I'm holding that paycheck. But I don't, I lost my train of thought, damn it. I guess I'm
We all
dealing with,
say things differently.
yeah, it is different, but it's not. That's my point. It is, but it's not. Um, and I just go back to the fact that, look who Jesus hung out with. All the people that everybody thought was scumbuckets.
He did.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why I'm comfortable with all kinds of people. I'm comfortable sitting down with rich people. I'm so comfortable with sitting down with homeless people. And I am not going to say houseless. That's a stupid word. I'm just going to tell you right now because they're losing more than a house. They are homeless. They have no home base. They have no foundation. They have no comfort. They have no place to put their feet up. They have no nurturing environment. So don't give me that shit about houseless. They are homeless. I'm mean today, aren't I? I'm being mean.
Uh, I think you're justified in that because there's a lot of stuff that's happening that people are trying to reword. I mean, they're trying to make it more palatable for you. No, 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 don't do that. That's patronizing. Okay. Houseless? No, because obviously you don't know the definition of a home.
Exactly. Exactly. And so just a side note, we won't go on this subject today, but I'm going to make the side note. We have a lot of these politically correct terms because the more terms before them were not nice. Well, you can make a politically correct term not nice too. So it's never
Mhm.
about the word. It's always about the fucking intent.
And I think
Always
that's what
about the
we
intent.
try to do with every reading is to make a good intent
Yeah.
for the person sitting across from us.
And I always end my session with every person. Did you have any questions that you wanted to get answered that you didn't get answered? And do you understand what we talked about? And do you need anything from me? Every time I talk to someone, I ask that in some form or fashion. Now, here's what's fun. Okay, so here's the fun part for me about readings. So here's how I do them. I always say, you're going to sit down. I'm going to do a cold read. So that means you're not going to tell me anything about yourself, and you're not going to ask me anything. You're not going to until I tell you what the message is. Then after I give you the message, if you want to ask questions, you can. 9 times out of 10, I have covered everything that they ever wanted to talk about. That it's just fun to see their faces when that happens because when you tell them that they don't get to ask questions at first, they go, "Oh." There's like, "Oh,
Yeah,
this is God."
Saturday night. One of the guys said, I was telling him something. He says, "How did you go ahead and tell whatever you need to tell me?"
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just that little look of disappointment, like, oh, this is not going to be any fun. She's not going to let me ask anything, or whatever. You
Mhm.
just see that little look of disappointment, and then 2 sentences into the message, they're like, you know. So I love that. So that's just me being, you know, me. I don't know how else to put it. I got to get something out of it sometimes.
Well, I think the main thing is to just know that we try to give a positive message.
Well, and even if you don't get a positive message, there's a positive way to say things.
Right.
Mhm.
All right. So, like, for instance, you can see that someone is going to get fired. Okay. What you say, I see wonderful new opportunities coming your way. And you're going to make some life-changing decisions that you weren't expecting to make. Wow, that's great. That sounds wonderful. It's always a great way and a positive reframe for everything.
I remember having a reading, actually, it was down in Houston, and the lady came to me and she goes, I want to know about my job. And she goes, am I going to get another job? Am I going to, do I have to leave this one, so on and so forth? And everything that was coming up in the cards was like, you're going to be there for a little while longer. I really believe that you're going to be there for a little while longer. And she's like, oh,
Ugh.
and I was like, I don't see any like forward movement at this time. I was like, but probably in about 3 months, I was like, you're going to get another offer. I think that it's going to be like a better offer, but I don't think the move is going to be far from what you're doing right now. Okay. Well, she comes back 3 months later and she's like, I was angry at you for telling me that I was gonna, I was gonna have to stay here. She goes, I stayed where I was at, and they offered me a new position. It's the same quote unquote position, but they're expanding it and they're actually hiring someone to help me out with all the stuff that I was doing.
That's
It
awesome.
increased pay, it increased, this, it increased that. And she goes, I was ready to leave. She goes, but you told me that no, you're going to stay there for a little while. She goes, I'm so glad that I listened.
Well, it's funny how people also interpret what we say. I
Oh
remember
yeah,
when I first got into this business, I remember this so vividly. I worked a corporate event 3 years in a row. And the first year I was there, I did not remember saying this to this man, but I said, I keep seeing you playing Monopoly and you're buying up all the real estate on Monopoly. So it tells me that you're really good at business. And so whatever ideas that you're playing with, move forward with them. Well, he came back next year and goes, Man, you rock. And I said, why? He goes, well, this is what you told me. And I went out and I bought 10 houses and I just turned them over for like 150% profit or something. It was something outrageous. And he had just recently retired. He goes, I never would have done that if you hadn't have said that. I'm like, really? You did that just because I told you to? You made good decisions. I was glad it came out.
that's we should do an episode on our favorite readings and our favorite things that have happened to us as psychics, medium, whatever our specialties are, because I think that people love hearing those types of stories. I
Well, we
have a
could do
ton.
that.
I have a ton.
I will tell you right off the bat, my happiest one is this was another corporate event that I did several years in a row, and a woman came up and she literally body slammed me behind my table to hug my neck, and I nearly fell out of my chair, and she was crying. I'm like, oh my God, what is going on here? And I'm like, hi, what's going on? Tell me. She goes, you saved my life. I said, well, you're being a little dramatic. She goes, no, I mean it. You saved my life. You told me to go get a checkup. I said, I did not. She goes, yes, you did. I'm like, I really address health at these things. And she goes, you said that. And you said, I really want you to go get a checkup. And I really want you to get blood work. And you said that. I said, I did? I didn't remember that. And they had found that she had stage 2 cancer. And she got it treated and was cancer free that time. I saw her. So, weird things do happen. And so I will never change my belief that this is God working through me. I'll never change that.
Yeah.
I'll never change that. It just saddens me to think that people see me as something evil, and maybe that's interfering and acting as a stumbling block between them and their relationship with God. That hurts me. I hate that. But they didn't take the time to talk to me or ask me. So hopefully that's going to be something between them and God, and they'll work out the details later.
It
Yeah,
is
we
something
have to,
between them and God. It's not that you can influence it.
You
You might
know?
feel bad about the circumstances under which it happened, but that's your own personal relationship with your, whoever you choose to believe in. So,
but
I mean, I know your heart, and I know exactly where you're at, both of you. I mean, I'm just being in touch with both of you. I mean, you're not in it to hurt. You're in it to heal. And so if someone like is coming against you, whether they're picketing or whether they're saying nasty things to you, that has nothing to do with you. That's all about them.
I
So
know.
I mean,
But it's
I just,
sad. It's
yeah, it's
sad.
sad. It's sad, and we can feel bad, and we can just say, a lot of times I just had to say, you know what, bless you on your path.
well, as well as I did, there are um, people who are not reputable, and they do use this medium to for their own purposes.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
Okay, so speaking of which, I had 2 calls last week. This is okay. We'll go down. This is a little gopher hole. It's not a rabbit hole. And they had their entertainment reader, whoever, cancel the same day of the event. And I'm sure if they canceled, there was a good reason because nobody wants to turn down money. But my whole thing is this is indicative of someone that is a private reader who thinks that they can work parties, as opposed to someone who is devoted to working parties and events from the perspective that we have. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if I had an event where the reader had to cancel and I had no one else, I'd be on Facebook, I'd be on the Bash, I'd be on whatever, looking for a reader, if nothing else, just to hand the event off to,
Mhm.
even if I didn't make a dime.
mhm.
And so that those are the people that bug the crap out of me. They get on these sites and advertise, and I'm a psychic medium, and I'm this, and I'm that, and blah, blah, blah. And so their primary focus is private readings, and they're going to break into the event thing, and they don't have a clue. And I've worked with a few where the people have hired 2 people, and why they didn't let me get both of them, I don't know. And the other person showed up, and we tried to dress appropriately and be festive or fit the decor. So because I always ask about the decor, and we bring our own table decor if they're not going to provide it, and all. And where the people have just showed up and they put a black tablecloth on the table and they threw a deck of cards out, and that was it. No, that's not what they hired you for. That's not what they hired you for. And you know what? Why it really pisses me off? Because guess who works their ass off all night long? I do. Because nobody wants to go talk to them because they're not interesting looking. And they're sitting there and they got their cards and there's
Well, I mean, if you have two tables, one that is like has a nice, inviting, decorative, like aura about it, and then you have someone who is just, here's my cards. It, which would you choose? You
Well,
know?
I went to a psychic event like that. You walk in, there's all these psychics at tables, and they're just sitting there looking at you. There's no decor. there's no, just their cards and them. And I'm like, okay.
And then on the other side of the coin, I had this conversation with Matthew a couple weeks ago when we were talking about some other business ventures and we were looking at pictures. I said, if we ever do something like that and a person shows up and their table looks like it's out of something out of a Halloween movie, they're hitting the road. That's bullshit.
Yeah, but and I've experienced this with multiple readers and people that do like psychic events and so on and so forth, is that they are so much about the flash and splash that the readings get lost.
Yeah. So there's extremes on either side.
There's a balance.
I'm imbalanced. No.
Okay, so I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, and I mean, I'm not going to mention names or anything else like that. But when you have three banners behind you, okay, touting how wonderful you are, okay, and then you have like twice the size of the table as anyone else in the venue, and it's stacked like this high with crystals and like a vase with flowers in it, and just all that stuff and everything else like that. And they're standing there.
That's why I don't do psychic fairs. I don't fit in at psychic fairs. I don't.
Okay, okay. But don't complain at the end of the day when you're like, no one came to see me.
Yeah, I don't fit into those kind of venues. That's just not my scene. I've
I
tried a
do.
few, uh, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that. It's just I kind of wonder if I'm not missing the boat by it not being my scene. But I just can't. I can't get comfortable. I can't get
Well,
comfortable.
I'm going to point out to you, you remember where I met you, right?
No, I don't. I do not.
I met you at a psychic fair.
Did I have a table at it?
Yes, you had a table and you were doing handwriting analysis.
That had to be years ago because I can't
It
remember.
was, I'm telling you, we've known each other for a long time.
Well, of course, I don't remember because I don't remember anybody I read for ever, but unless they're a private client, and I see them many times. But, no, I tried, I used to do readings up in another city that they had monthly stuff with a bunch of other people, and that's how I met a lot of people, and Chuck Murphy and we did some things together, and I did the handwriting, and he did cards and things like that, and and it's amazing how many people I know in the industry, but I don't know them personally, but I've met them but I'm just not comfortable in that. And maybe it's just because I can't sit still for 6 freaking hours,
Yeah, it's tough.
you know, and but maybe it's just because there's just so much energy in the room, I just can't stand it. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
It's very possible. I mean, I'm a firm believer in crystals. So I always like surround myself with crystals that like either repel or like absorb and transmute the energy around me. I think
Well,
that's the reason why I can sit for 6 hours.
I used to bring my crystals, and then one night I found myself wanting to throw one. And I thought, well, this isn't good.
Well, crystals are good for, for protection.
And then I
Depending
started
on
taking my
how you
little
throw them.
crystal stone angels, and then I realized you can throw those too. So I quit taking
Absolutely.
those.
Absolutely.
She
So
has
I do.
impulse control issues.
I get agitated with too much of
I just
anything.
took a
Too
drink.
much of
Stop that, Luann.
you know. Well, okay. So my ego's making me ask, did I do a good job? Were you pleased, Matthew?
I was extremely pleased.
Okay. Okay.
I was extremely pleased. I mean, it was my first like real experience with handwriting analysis. I mean, the first thing you said about me is you're a very optimistic person.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And
Because
and
I
your
mean,
handwriting is very definite about that.
yeah, she goes, you're a very optimistic person. She goes, there's not a lot that slows you down, and she goes, it takes a lot to slow you down. Um, you said that I'm often timid about how I communicate with people.
Well, I had
And
changed mine.
I'm like, I don't know about that. But then you followed it up with some other stuff, and I was like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah, that's the thing. I have figured out that what I consider certain words to mean, a lot of other people don't. Because to me, timid is someone who's not ball busting. Okay. And so a lot of times I find myself explaining my filters of words. And once I do that, people are, oh yeah, that's spot on. So I can't just use a one word description because I guess English is not my first language. I don't know what is. And being a communications coach, I can tell you everything wrong about yours.
Yeah.
But sometimes I don't see my own, discrepancies and stuff. But you know what else pisses me off that since we're kind of talking about this is when readers advertise themselves to be something that they're not. And I'm just going to say it. I'm not going to say the person's name. And you know what? And maybe in 2025, my I don't do New Year's resolutions normally, but I think my New Year's resolution is that from now on, when someone aggravates me, I'm going to say their name. But I do. But there is a person who advertised themselves as a handwriting analysis person, and they say they have a master's. There's no such fucking thing as a master's in handwriting analysis, you know? And the rest of the world doesn't know that. If you're not in this world, you don't know that. And I just want, but here's the thing, I give this person the benefit of the doubt because I know who they studied under. And maybe that person sold them on the concept that they now had a master's in that because they studied with them, because that person is not considered the best teacher in this arena. Now, in all fairness, the person that taught me has had issues too, but it is what it is. So, but when someone says they do this or they have this or they're a master this or they, it just annoys the fuck out of me. It just does.
Hmm.
I'm like,
I'll never claim that unless I have something to back it up.
well,
I
you've got a
mean,
master's in metaphysical studies.
not master's, I have my doctorate.
Okay, so to see,
Big
so
difference.
yeah, huge difference. So, but I have that issue in everything. I'm like, in the private investigation world, the state association decided years ago it wasn't enough that we had to pass the Texas state test and pay for our license and pay for insurance, that the state association came up with their own test so we could have these letters behind our name to show that we
Yeah.
were certified. No, I'm already licensed, bitch. I don't need to be certified. And the state checks me out every 2 years, and I have to have continuing education. So that just pissed me off. So I quit the association. And then, I get into the event business thinking, oh, this will be easy peasy. It's fun, right? Oh my God. Everybody's got to have 20 million letters behind their name that I don't even know what they stand for. And here's the irony. I've never had anyone outside of the insurance business ever ask me if I'm licensed as a PI in Texas. And I've never had anyone, even in the event planning business, ask me if I have any letters behind my name in regards to event planning. It just, you know, if you can do what you say you can do, people can tell.
Yeah.
I
I
think
mean,
they can too.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Luann. What were you saying?
Oh, I think they can tell too. That's all I was
Yeah.
going to say.
I
I
mean,
think Luann sometimes is like channeling a stripper because have you noticed that she gets on there and she starts flipping that hair like she's on the pole, you know? You know, Divine at her best.
okay.
I love Divine. Did you like Divine?
I love Divine.
Oh my God, John Waters and Divine. Those were two pair. They were two people. They made four pair when they were together.
Yeah.
So, Luann, do you have any letters to support your stripper career?
No,
Actually,
no,
you do.
I don't.
Yes, you do. You have
Oh,
a nursing degree. Yeah, there's some letters associated with that, I'm sure.
AS,
What?
comma, AS, comma, LVN, comma,
Yeah,
herbalist.
yeah. You're an
Those,
herbalist.
those what are
I was
those
just
are
gonna
what I
say,
put
what's
it.
your cup size? Triple J, Divine Stripper.
No, no.
See, I'm not always bitchy. I'm fun.
But I will say this, and I think you two know this about me, is that I honestly I don't go around saying Dr. Matthew Pierce. Just because when someone says that, to me, it kind of is like, it's like, and, you know, yeah, I have a
And
little bit more education,
and
and that's the reason why I have the letters.
Yeah, but here's what you're missing, Matthew. You're not thinking this through. So you're at a gay bar and you go, I'm Dr. Pierce. And how many cute looking guys would throw off their shirt and go, can you do an exam on me? And you go, sure, let's do a health check. How much fun
That
would
would
that
take
be?
me so out of integrity.
How much fun would that be, though?
Well, hey, instead of like seeing your chest, can I see your hand?
Well, that's not what I was going to ask for. But okay, if that's your thing, yeah, that's a weird kink. Weird kink.
I'm talking palmistry. Come on.
Yeah,
okay, we got to go now.
yeah. Sure you are. Sure you are. Rosie and her five finger palm.
No. That's just about as I mean about me saying is like, there are sometimes that you get to the point where you would just want to apply some of the fivefold ministry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Well, my whole thing, this is my favorite thing. When you really irritate me, I just want to slap all four of your cheeks individually. And you say that to someone, they'll go, four, four. Oh. And I've actually had people follow me home though after I told them that.
Well,
Okay. So it can
okay.
entice as well as make them fearful. So
Well, I'm done.
you're done?
I'm done.
I'm done.
Why you got a stripper gig you got to get to or
Yeah, I
what?
got a stripper thing I got to go to. Practice. I got to practice.
I'll get my ones ready so we
Okay,
can make it rain. Make it rain.
stop.
Oh my God. Oh my God. All right. So any closing thoughts? I'm in a much better mood since I got to rant and rave. So
I think that people, when they use occult, the word occult, like, and they don't know what it really is, okay, that they do more damage than they know. And so
exactly.
get educated. I want the Christians out there to know that psychic reading is in the Bible, mediumship is in the Bible, people fortune telling is in the Bible, people reading the stars is in the Bible. All of these things that they are against and saying that are satanic are not. They were all practiced by people that were godly.
Well, it says to discern spirits, and how can you discern spirits if you don't deal with the supernatural? Okay, we need to discern the spirits of humans and also things around us. That's the way I take it. So, tell me something good, Luann.
You can contact me by
Oh, he really is
emailing
done.
me
She said she was
at,
done.
at Luann, Luann, at ancientherbalapothecary.com, or you can go to the website, ancientherbalapothecary.com.
It's got a nice little rhythm to it. Soothing apothecary. All right, Dr. Pierce, tell them about you.
You can get a hold of me on my personal website at matthewapierce.com. Same with the email address, matthew@matthewapierce.com. Or you can check out my design company. It is connectionsdesignstudios.com. We do a lot of things for small businesses, medium-sized businesses, anywhere from websites to business cards.
Perfect. And I'm Deborah Colleen Rose, and we're sponsored by Milesofsmilesevents. And we've been talking about that, so I don't need to explain that. I do spiritual and communication coaching, deborahcolleenrose.com, and I do private investigations, which I was doing all morning this morning. And I love doing that still. I thought I'd be tired of it by now, but I love doing it. It's Investigative Solutions Group Unlimited, and it's isgu.com. So you're going to get information from me one way or the other. Just count on it. So we're talking again. Watch out, and we'll see you again next week.
Bye now.
Bye, everybody.